Hello, creatives. Welcome to True Creativity Within, the podcast. So, today I want to talk about connecting the dots on your creative journey. So, there's some of us who feel very comfortable saying we're creative, we're artistic, and we can own that label. And then there's some who feel maybe they're on the fence. Sometimes they're creative, sometimes they don't feel as artistic or creative. And then there's others who might feel like, no, I don't have a creative bone in my body. So, whatever category you fit in, I want you to think about this for a little bit. I believe that if you were to look back on your artistic journey or your life's journey, you might find some road signs that were leading you towards your creative life and living that creative part of you. So, this is what I'm talking about in terms of connecting the dots. There were maybe coincidences, pivotal moments. Maybe there were meeting the right person at the right time, taking the right class at the right time, finding the teacher at that time when you were thinking about doing something creative. It could be those moments that felt like coincidences and the perfect synchronistic event that everything sort of fell into place. Or it could have been even a movie that you watched that inspired you, that fed you and got you excited about maybe pursuing something creative. It could be as simple as an instinct that said, you know what, take that ceramics class. I don't know why, but I'm going to do it. Either way, whatever you want to call it, I believe these are road signs guiding us. So let me take a few steps back. I'm gonna say, and I believe this to be the truth, is that we are all born creative. Because creativity, the ability to create something from nothing, the ability to problem solve when we have a problem that we need to figure out, or the ability to pull things from different places and bring them together, that is creativity. And I believe that is a human characteristic, a human trait that each one of us was born with. So if you think about that idea, you don't necessarily have to be this amazing musician, amazing actor or artist to be creative. You could be creating by programming. You could be creating by putting on events and mapping everything out and scheduling things and pulling people together. That is a creative process. So I believe every person, you are creative. But if we think about that, if we came into this world already with that trait, I believe that creativity, creative spirit, or this energy that creates inspiration, ideas, a yearning to do something artistic, to write poetry, to make music, to sing, to dance, that energy, I believe, sends us signs to pull us towards it, to guide us towards living that creative life that we're meant to live. So that was something that I wanted to sort of share with you. It was an idea that popped into my head because I lately have been reflecting on, what were the pivotal moments in my life that really kind of guided me to the place that I'm at right now in terms of my artistic life. What am I doing? What am I creating? And I can actually connect the dots. So I want to encourage you to think about, maybe even make a timeline from your earliest memory of finger painting in kindergarten, or taking that music class, or that you had an interest in taking an art class or writing class in high school or grade school, whenever, and really sort of map that out, because intuitively we were being guided. And I think that's very important, because what happens, right, is we either didn't notice those road signs, we didn't acknowledge them, or maybe we have totally forgotten about them. But what's so important, and this is the thing, this is why I want to share this with you, is that when we look at the timeline, it makes a bigger picture. It sort of brings this bigger picture into the forefront in terms of affirming and validating that you are a creative person, that creativity was alive and had been calling to you. So, in other words, when you connect the dots, you realize creativity was always there. And what's important is that if you can see that now, and from here on in your life, begin to really look for those signs. Begin to really keep an eye out for those, because I think they're important in terms of what happens is we get so distracted in this world, online, and social media, what everyone else is doing, that it's easy to get distracted and think about what we're not doing. That maybe, well, yeah, they're creative, but I'm not. Or that's kind of cool, but I'm not that, right? So I'm going to challenge you to think about, how are you creative in your own way? Because it's important that you honor that creative part of you without having to say it has to look like that, and if it looks like that, then I'm not that, therefore I'm not creative, right? You can determine what way you want to express yourself creatively, what medium you want to choose that resonates with you to express yourself creatively. It doesn't have to look like everyone else. And I think there is a lot of change going on in terms of what is considered creative and artistic. I think that whole idea is starting to really expand, especially after the pandemic. I saw a lot more creativity happening online, and I think a lot of people, because they had the time and maybe even a chance to reflect on, you know what, I've always wanted to do this particular thing, and they had the time to do it, and they were honoring that part of their life. So I think now there's a lot of that going on. So that's what's really cool. In other words, you don't have to have been born creative. Not born creative, but born with a paintbrush in your hand or a drawing pencil in your hand. You maybe discovered that later in your life when you were growing up, maybe in high school, maybe in junior college, or maybe when you got your first job and you started to realize I need to do something creative on the weekends, right? So it doesn't mean, even though I believe you were born creative, it doesn't mean that it was expressed from the day you were born. It could be, because there are some situations where I've seen like it just comes natural for that kid, or that little kid who's just was able to put things together and draw easily. That is not necessarily a requirement. So that's something to think about. Where can you connect the dots in your life? And I want to again emphasize how important it is to honor that creative part of you. If you've always wanted to write poetry, do it. If you've always wanted to write a novel, start somewhere. If you always wanted to paint, you can do it. It's just, you don't have to necessarily go through the formal channels. You can just actually do it, because now there are so many tutorials, so many YouTube videos, so many options now that will open up that door for you. But what I really wanted to emphasize today is that when you connect the dots and you reflect on all those road signs that were along the way that were guiding you and pulling you towards being creative, take a look at them a little closer this time. So the reason why I'm thinking about this is I am thinking about who were the major influences, artistic influences in my life. And I was reflecting on this for a couple days ago, and it always comes down a memory that I had with my uncle, who used to make birthday cards for me. He loved drawing caricatures and cartoons in different scenarios, and I remember him always drawing up a birthday card for me throughout my childhood. And I do remember him one day bringing out this book that had all this is how you draw a face, this is how you draw this character running. And I remember him handing me that book with some blank paper, a pencil, and he said, "Why don't you try it?" And I know that in that moment, I felt like he was opening up this book of secrets on how to draw, and I felt so excited, because I felt like he was giving me permission to draw. But that's just an example that maybe you might find when you look back, certain people in your life, certain relationships, and maybe a specific teacher who actually acknowledged that part of you and was open to support and encourage and nurture that part of you that was creative. So I hope this helps you think about your creativity a little bit more. It really is about affirming yourself and providing that affirmation that you deserve to be creative and you deserve to do the thing that you're passionate about that feeds your creative soul. So thank you for listening. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you're new to me, I invite you to follow my podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel. My podcast is also on Spotify and iHeartRadio. So I invite you to follow me. And until next time, stay creating. Bye.